GM Fox fam, sorry, a couple minutes late there. Getting my camera and voice set up on this now that I'm back home. Anyway, so my plans for today are just basically to give a report on ETH Denver and all the stuff that I heard from people talking with them at the booth. I spent last week being sick, but the week before that I spent at ETH Denver supporting the growth people and essentially hanging around and having conversations with anybody that would listen. Rep and ShapeShift and explaining to people what our unique value proposition is. Part of that is because I'm in a great position to talk about things from a security perspective, and that was interesting to many of the people I talked to. I hope. I do remember at least 3 instances in which people were actually very interested in the security aspects as a key differentiator of ShapeShift's offering over other software wallets or over other interfaces for trading via DEXs and so forth. And part of my takeaway from that is that one of the medium-term goals, probably this next quarter coming up, will be to try and convert our security chops into a strategic marketing asset or something. Whatever. The point is that we need to do more public communication about why we're so awesome, and let people know without throwing too much shade on other projects, but let people know why, what kind of threats there are out there, and how we mitigate more of them than the average Joe. Let's see. I was very privileged to be able to meet a lot of the new contributors to the DAO that not ex Shapeshift people, ex Shapeshift US centralized people, but completely new faces, and it was just an amazing experience to see how our little corner of the community has gotten traction and started moving. I thought to myself when decentralization happened, I thought, okay, well, one of the key indicators is going to be if we just sort of end up being a shell for ex Shapeshift stuff. We need to get new blood in, and I'm excited to see that. I'm also excited because of the number. I saw quite a few people who didn't continue working with the DAO full time post Shapeshift, but that were still very interested in being involved and in doing integrations with us. For various reasons, people, so sometimes people didn't continue with DAO because they had a different risk profile. They wanted that stability of a more traditional job. But there are plenty of other reasons that people didn't do stuff too. One of the ex-security people is, for immigration reasons, has to have a W-2 from an employer that can fill out the appropriate paperwork for the particular education visa thing that he's on. And I was talking. I met him again, talked with him. He showed up and was bragging about ShapeShift to people. I am just very impressed with the community and the possibilities that has opened up for us. Let's see. Had a great set of people that got booths basically right next to us that I was excited to talk to about and find more about possible integrations. Essentially, the cow swap people were right next to us. I got to talk with their guys for a while. I mean, it's always possible to learn about protocols by reading documentation, and it's always possible to but it's a lot easier if you have people there and you can just ask them the questions that you're coming up with, like how do you pull this off without totally compromising people's security? Usually there's a couple of pointed questions that you have to ask, and sometimes they have answers ready and sometimes they don't, and that's really telling. And I talked with a few people that didn't really have answers ready, or there was one guy there trying to, he was a Bitcoin guy. It was a DeFi project that he was talking about, but it was kind of more of a centralized, give your funds to this manager and they'll manage stuff behind the scenes kind of thing. So that's the one example of something we want to stay away from, probably. But on the other hand, there's the cow swap people say, we can do gasless transactions, and the question is, how do you? We can do gasless trades specifically, and how can you do gasless trades? Well, the answer is that you have to use infinite approvals, and those are tricky. If you use infinite approvals wrong, then all your money can get stolen. And so I was able to talk with them and ask them some pointed questions about that. Obviously, this does not replace the need for a code audit of their stuff before we did an integration, but it the in-person stuff really greases the wheels in sort of handy manner. Let's see, and ended up with probably 2 or 3 people that are said that they would look at being new full-time contributors. Well, maybe part-time. I mean, we didn't get into that. But the key is that I talked with several people that were sort of dissatisfied with their current options for you walk around East Denver and you're an engineer and you're going to get like 5 job offers in a few minutes. The there's the demand is overwhelming, but a lot of it is still packaged in these sort of traditional full-time W-2 come work for us kinds of packages, instead of a hey, we'd love to see you contribute if, when, how you can. And I might be a little biased here because I'm already biased in favor of strong support for part-time stuff. Fair warning, but I saw in several and you try your hand at it, and you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to change your entire life. Just come see if you like working with these people. Let's see. I guess the other sort of key takeaway, or not key takeaway, whatever, something that I was surprised about. Well, I guess the first thing is how open everyone was about other currencies except for Bitcoin. Like, I think I saw 2 people talking about Bitcoin. There's a million other coins. Obviously EVM and compatible stuff was represented well, but even other stuff was quite represented well. But nobody really talked UTXOs, which I thought was quite interesting. Surprising to me personally. Another was how we were all here working on a system that is built on fairly complex technical underpinnings. Not just the code itself, but the interaction between chains, for example. The amount of security implications of bridged coins and how those bridges are done, whether they're done via multi-signature things or via like proof of stake or zero knowledge rollups or things like that. I really saw basically not many people talking about that. Well, there's also not a whole lot of deep, smart contract code stuff that was talked about. I don't think the average developer knows Solidity, but doesn't necessarily understand the implications of exactly how the Ethereum virtual machine works, like the implications of constructor parameters and things like that. So I think that's one of our potential strengths. That I expect that the reason Ethereum L2s have so much traction is because they're so similar to Ethereum that you don't have to really ask any of the questions about how does this actually work under the hood, because it's not like but it's not because you already know, it's because you already assume that Ethereum is okay, and so you can assume all these others are okay too. I saw in most of my interactions a serious need for the kind of multi-chain stuff that we do, because everybody at ETH Denver says they're doing something that's multi-chain, but by that they mean Polygon and Gnosis Chain and Arbitrum and Ethereum mainnet. They don't mean Cosmos and Osmosis and Bitcoin and Thorchain and Theo, out of all things. Actually, Theo was one of the I think they had a higher sponsor level than us, or at least their logo was on the thing, and it was larger than our logo. But nobody talked about Theo or EOS in my earshot. It was kind of there was, however, a lot of talk about WASM-based stuff. I didn't hear as much of it in the context of Ethereum 2.0 as I expected. the original plans for ETH 2.0 involved having running WASM blobs as contracts and converting EVM to WASM, and in order to sort of upgrade old smart contracts. And this would make gas cheaper by a significant amount, because the metering would be better and the virtual machine would be faster. I think that's been kind of deprioritized, but it has that sort of theme has shown up in a lot of other blockchains. So I suspect from that having that having WASM experience will, in not necessarily with a particular blockchain, but whatever we do that does touch WASM in the future, I suspect will be a good investment. If for nothing else, just in order to build an engineering culture or whatever, that's an engineering team that is experienced with the technology and is comfortable in building things with it. I had a few talks with, I talked with Highlander and Pasta Ghost about key stuff. I think it would be cool one of these weekends to do some like a hackathon project sort of deal, trying to get WASM blobs running on the key. I think that would be quite a unique advantage. Most hardware wallets don't do that sort of thing, and if you could run the actual contract code on the device, that'd be kind of a game changer for support of new platforms. Let's see. There were, I guess the single thing that surprised me the most was just how few people had ever looked at the code in MetaMask and understood the security trade-offs that the software wallets versus hardware wallets bring. And the whole idea of our plugin based platform enabling you to support a whole bunch of wallets for your new DeFi project, and a whole bunch of chains all at the same time, and even not having to do as much UI work, because we got a framework. You can bring your own widgets. We can pop in. You can use our widgets if you want. That stuff that the engineering team is working on right now was the most exciting to basically everyone that I had in-depth conversations with. People would come up to our booth and they would try to be selling us something, and then by the end of it, they were like, "Oh shit, we need that," and I have this project I want to do, and we should we should partner on this. There is a serious need for that sort of thing, and I'm very happy that we're going that direction. Major Hayes is he's been like his whole plugin vision for the system has been driving this, and it is, I believe, it resonates very well. It is right on. Let's see. The other major draw after the plugin stuff was FoxChain. The concept of needing a decentralized backend service and the economic mechanism to prevent, to ensure that backend service is delivering you the correct data. People, I talked to several DeFi projects, people that basically didn't realize how much of a problem that was, and how badly you could get screwed by the backend lying to you. And we provide a decentralized front end, and when FoxChain is up, we'll provide a decentralized back end too, and it won't even be us. And both those needs are significant across the space, I believe. Let's see. there's, I think the key theme for me of ETH Denver was not just how much progress has been made in this DeFi space, but also how much value there still is to be created. How many sort of obvious problems that need to be solved and haven't quite yet. There was an ice cream social that I happened to go through, and they'd forgotten the trash can. I thought that was just like a great metaphor for our whole industry, because people had improvised a trash can by putting trash on a table, right? I mean, the ice cream was great, the delivery process was great, but there are still key elements that everybody's going to need that we can make, and our whole new business model of partnering with doing things as positive sum games to increase not just our products viability, but that of our partners, like what we've done with Yearn, the Yearn router that we wrote, that not only allows you to have, allows us to get affiliate revenue, it also allows the users to not pay as much gas in order to get into Yearn vaults. That sort of thing is in high demand. So I see, at least as an implication for the security work stream, I see the number of code reviews and audits going up probably at the expense of security direct contributions to our own local code base over the next, say, quarter or so. That's my projection. I'm totally a tech guy. I hope that y'all feel, but I definitely feel that we're I'm the direct code contributions are important and sort of form the backbone value proposition from which all this other stuff can flow. But I am excited to get additional, integrating people is going to become increasingly important. So I want to make sure that there's a pipeline for that, and I'm working on some documentation to get, process documentation on here's how you sign up for a review, and here's what we'll do, and here's what our schedule is going to be like soon. My immediate next priority for the security on the security agenda is to get alpha working, because that's been a little overdue, and we finally got the Pendo thing worked out, but then I was sick, and so I need to make sure Diggy doesn't kill me with an axe or something. So that's my immediate next priority. Right after that, though, the biggest need I see at the moment is a need for a way, not just for people to see what security is doing, but for security to, for people to put up essentially tickets, for what they need, so that people can be sure that they'll have capacity when they need to deliver stuff. This is a happy problem to have. It's definitely not my favorite kind of problem to solve. Give me something in a text file that ends with .js or .ts or something any day, rather than this administrative crap. But as we're scaling up, I'm seeing an increased need for a way for people to feel like security is a reliable, integral part of the partnership process, I suppose. Tyler says, goat stuff on the alpha work. I expect to have something by probably Monday. I'm going to focus on that over the next couple of days, as well as the weekend if necessary, to get that going. The first step, I don't think we can launch on Monday, or the launch will be constrained by the product team's creation of guides that they can't get done until I get to a certain point in this work. So I got to set up a staging site so that they can build guides, as well as the public-facing site. So I think that my guess would probably be in 2 weeks for alpha to be up, but that is I don't have all the information on that. Let's see. Anyone that has any questions is welcome to raise a hand, and I will pull you up and we can chat. I've sort of think covered most of the key stuff I had. I've been making a laundry list, as there's just so much inspiration, from all the different talks and so forth. I've been making a laundry list of sort of medium-sized cool things that we should probably do at some point. Like, for example, our whole DAO, is based on snapshot and snapshot voting, and snapshot voting is pretty darn wonky, and compared to the rest of the stack that we use, the snapshot strategies are probably significantly improvable. So I've got a couple things down to look at ways to make a snapshot strategy, for example, that we could run through our code review process to make sure that when we add a new Fox on a new chain or something, that we don't accidentally multi-count people's Fox deposits, or don't let people delegate from bridge contracts or something like that. I've got a preliminary set of plans as well in the medium term to work on a mechanism for anonymous snapshot voting. The idea being, well, I guess it wouldn't directly be anonymous voting; it'd be anonymous delegation. So the I think that it's important that we improve people's participation in our governance process, and I believe that we can construct a snapshot strategy that will enable that to happen by removing one of the barriers for people to vote. Let's see. I've also got to talk to the Superfluid guys. I'm pretty excited by the possibilities those offer, not just for the engineering work stream is talking about Superfluid for, I think it's actually passed now. So the engineering work stream is, I think, officially using Superfluid now for Fox streams. I think that there's a number of other things that we might be able to use it for as well. Like regular contributor contributions. We might even be able to set up, we might be able to integrate that into like staking rewards stuff. This is all hypothetical, but it was great to have a chance to talk to the people and sort of find out what their set of available, the things that they enable are. Let's see. Opolis had the best shirts. That's my verdict. They had the nicest, softest, least likely to screw up in the wash shirts. So anyway, I think that's about it as far as stuff that I've got made up for on my list of stuff to talk about this time. I see PTT is up here, and I'm very, very happy to have you. Yeah, GM. Yeah. So bridges are a a serious target. They are uh, if you have to use them because you can't do everything on L1 without being a millionaire. But the security guarantees behind different bridges are significantly different. The strongest kind of bridge you can use is something that uses a ZK roll up. Um, I guess there's sort of three categories here. There's roll ups, and then there's optimistic. Sorry, there's bridges, optimistic roll ups, and ZK roll ups are sort of your three levels of sophistication. Um, Token bridges typically operate on uh, an off-chain proof of stake system. So that as far as the contracts are concerned on Ethereum, uh, the transactions from the bridge occur when they are signed by a majority of a certain set of signers. And those signers are usually set up so they have an economic incentive not to lie about things that happened on an external chain. But that's a good system. It is what things like the Omni Bridge use. It's got a disadvantage in that while the economic argument works well against deliberately malicious validators, it doesn't work very well against bugs or hacks. So all of the people who are running whatever validator that checks that the bridge tokens really were burned on the XDAI chain, for example, and should be released on mainnet, they're probably all running the same software with the same bugs and the same attack surface. And if you can figure out some way to hack it, then you could compromise. That could be a serious problem. The sort of next level in sophistication is optimistic rollups. Optimistic rollups it's not really a bridge. It's that stuff happens on an L2, but then it gets reflected on mainnet. And the reason they have a little bit more security is that if something goes wrong, there is a process. If somebody approves an invalid transaction, there is a fallback mechanism for saying, hey, you lied about that, and proving that it's wrong. And it costs gas on mainnet to do that, but it is possible. There's really no way to arbitrate if a bridge fails. They're sort of optimistic by design, and there's not really a way to fix it. In ZK rollups, ZK rollups use magic moon math to prove on mainnet that the transactions were executed correctly off mainnet, which is kind of darn cool. It also means that on mainnet, while you have proof that the tokens were bridged or whatever, or operated on properly, you don't necessarily have on mainnet the information. I mean, you don't have on mainnet the information about what actually happened. So you can actually start building privacy with ZK rollups, which is something that is sorely needed, I think. Everyone, the lowest time to market, lowest effort sets of infrastructure, I think, is what overwhelmingly gets used. So like everybody puts all their Ethereum coins on a single address, and the privacy stuff just isn't a sexy feature, so nobody bothers with it, and everybody uses Infer as a backend, or everybody uses MetaMask, And as long as there's one pretty user-friendly way to do it, the sort of non-functional requirements like security and privacy and resiliency from attack, or like availability, I suppose, those are sort of tend to get glossed over in the shuffle. One of the problems, I suppose, with ZK rollups is that ZK snarks are really cool, but ZK Starks are pretty cool, but StarkNet's terms of service is not. I read it. It basically says, we own all the code. Like, it's open source, but somehow we retain the intellectual property rights, and you can't fork it because we, somehow tell you can't, and you can't use it if you're under 18 or in any of the following countries, or if you live in any jurisdiction where any government authority has issued any statement that digital assets may violate any of the following category of things, which, if taken literally, includes the United States. Like, imagine if the internet came with the terms of service. By using the World Wide Web, you agree to the following terms with ARPANET. ARPANET retains all intellectual property interests. That's just not how you build a serious, decentralized, resilient system. And so I'm worried about its future because of that. There's a whole ton of different business models in this space, and we're one of the more pure DAOs that I saw there, which is essentially we were forced to be that decentralized because we were centralized previously. We couldn't really go halfway. Nobody would believe us, least of all the government. So they would, unless we really did everything properly and put our money where our mouth is and decentralized correctly and fully, somebody would show up and be like, "Oh no, you're really the old ShapeShift. You haven't changed, and all the old stuff still applies to you." And that would not have been good. So I think that there is a need for more research in the ZK space, and there's also a very deep need for like good user interfaces. And it's way easier to use like Polygon or Gnosis Chain or something right today than it is to use a network that supports something cool like CK proofs at reasonable prices and throughputs. I think we have a unique advantage. Like, we're positioned so that we could potentially integrate support for zero knowledge stuff into our platform. Like, I can imagine a Starkware, or a StarkNet, support, like as a chain support kind of initiative. I could imagine support for dApps based on zero knowledge proofs, like having a Tornado Cache plugin would be pretty darn cool. From my, at least as far as I feel. The fact that we don't make, like, our when we write the underlying backend code, we've sort of learned by the school of hard knocks that we really need to get the low level stuff right, not to over abstract things before we get up to like the UI layer. That's for multi-chain support, but it also means that a lot of people have sort of baked the assumption of single account, no privacy sorts of things into their apps very deeply, and can't really support anything that has interesting privacy properties. And we have sort of a unique position to be a leader in that space potentially. Of course, that's sort of the refrain of the whole event and the whole space, really, which is that there we have an opportunity to be a leader in so many different ways and directions. And I'm excited to be a part of moving into the glorious future, I'm also real excited to be, all this stuff needs the kind of work that I love to do. And that's just, like, it's such a very, very freeing position to be in. I'm personally very, very grateful to be a part of it. Anyway. I've been doing tax stuff recently, and I'm realizing that everybody's tax tools suck too. Like, they should build their tax stuff on top of chain adapters and Unchained backend, Fox chain, all that stuff, because our abstractions are better than their abstractions. Maybe we'll eventually integrate a tax preparation tool. That would be cool. One of these days, I would really like to be able to use crypto without having to worry that the government is going to decide that I suck for it. Oh, have you been? No. Okay, cool. I thought you were raising. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank y'all for listening to me sort of stream of consciousness recap all this stuff. I expect that, I'm going to do alpha next. I'm going to get after that, I'm going to work on getting some process documentation done for security workstream, how it interacts with other work streams. And basically, hey, here's how you can get on our radar for, doing reviews or audits or whatever. And here's some sets of criteria for things that probably need an audit or whatever. And the part of that, once I do that, I'll be putting up like a site. There's going to be a section for inner workstream stuff like that, but there'll also be a section for security initiatives, which is a term I made up. But anyway, basically stuff the security workstream would like to get done just because it increases security and accomplishes our goals instead of necessarily helping other people accomplish theirs. But hopefully, the fact that that'll all be tracked in one place helps people understand what the availability and impact of various things are. And I'll be putting up some of these laundry list of good ideas from the Good Idea Fairy that I've had while there. Anyway, I think the budget, I haven't heard any negative feedback on the latest set of revisions to the budget proposal for security, by the way. So I'm going to be putting that up on Snapshot with an opening date of tomorrow at 5 Eastern. So as of the governance call. So I think that we're in a good place. I kind of wish, you get good at things by not being good at them first. And, I'm definitely, growing in this whole leading a work stream role thing. I keep looking back and kicking myself for various stuff. Like, why didn't you get this done faster? Like, figure out that you can just ask people if you're doing a good job, how you should improve and stuff. Like, that's the kind of big brain thing that apparently takes a while to figure out. But anyway, whatever. I'm happy that we're moving. I think we're all moving in the correct direction, and I'm happy to be part of that. Anyway, thank y'all for coming. And if there's no other questions or comments, then I'll just bring Lo-Fi back up and give y'all some time back. Oh, yeah. Okay. Darwin has a good question. Yeah. Back to Ethan for what do you see that you would never have done? So there were a number of security compromises that I would not recommend the average person make that were sort of part of attending ETH Denver. They're probably all fine, especially because the stakes weren't super high. But like, you generally shouldn't add random networks to MetaMask just because someone tells you to. Uh, they had these food tokens for food trucks that were given out on like Arbitrum's testnet, and nobody had that in MetaMask. So they had to like have you go to a page and set it up, and it didn't work right on some mobile things, and I had like problems with it on iOS. The manual solution, when you add a network, you're essentially trusting whatever the RBC endpoint at the other end says. So they could have told you that you have $1 zillion, or you don't have a bunch of money, or they could have, especially if you enter the wrong chain ID, because someone could say, here, add my new fancy network that I came up with. It's totally a test net. None of the funds are real. Well, if you happen to punch in a chain ID that matches some other chain, then they can trick you into signing something that actually spends money somewhere. So yeah, it's a surprising, the UI does not really reflect the depth, the security relevance of that operation. I also there's quite a few booths that were handing out USB based peripherals, which is awesome. Like, there's a USB battery bank. The CalSwap people next to us had a universal cell phone charging cord kit, which is pretty cool. And I'm probably going to use it frequently. But I will be using it frequently after putting my oscilloscope on it and determining that there is not a chip in there that is MITMing everything. Because, if you wanted to compromise somebody's, say, hardware wallet, and steal all the money, it would be relatively easy, especially if, like, you're a, I don't know, state intelligence agency or something, to cook up a batch of backdoored cables. So I am expect that it's all perfectly fine, but the fact that such an attack would be so attractive to certain actors that have interests in the space means that probably better safe than sorry. Let's see. And most people don't have an oscilloscope or know how to check and make sure that there's not a processor embedded in the cable. So let's see. I did get approached by at least probably 2 or 3 people who are clearly recruiting for like the People's Republic of China. And there's at least one specifically for working on NFTs on the Chinese state-sponsored blockchain platform thing, which was kind of, I've never been approached by a foreign agent before, which was kind of neat. They like to, like, they don't do anything that's quite as straightforward as being like EVM compatible or something. They always like to take the standards and sort of put their own spin on it, and have the Chinese version of Wi-Fi or something. So in that way, they're sort of exploring the solution space with the rest of us, I suppose. They've got apparently a centralized infrastructure for block production, and then a WASM blob defining the applications that run on top of it. It sounds a lot like Substrate, honestly. But anyway, I found it, you don't get, they don't have docs on that, right? You can't just look up what they use and write stuff to interoperate with it. So that was a interesting set of conversations. Didn't get anything stolen. Checked repeatedly to make sure. People generally were a lot nicer and just less prone to be assholes at ETH Denver than a lot of other places and conferences I've been to. So anyway. Oh yeah, and every single person who set up MetaMask on their phone right then to get those food tokens, just like screenshotted their password, and you can't stop people from or screenshotted their seed phrase, and you can't stop people from doing that. But I do think it sort of underscores that as a community we should put some thought into how to do user-friendly recovery for crypto seed phrases and stuff. There's got to be a better way. I don't know what it is, but I'll be thinking about it in the future.